I'll say it as a fan and nothing else. My heart rate finally slowed down now that Daniel Jones has been officially cleared to do everything ahead of training camp. The quarterback is back on the field, and his progress from that brutal Achilles injury is exactly the news every supporter of the Indianapolis Colts needed to hear today. It changes the entire outlook for our offense and stabilizes the biggest question mark on the roster. And honestly, the more details come out, the harder it is to ignore what is going on behind the scenes. My name is Lucas. Please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop your name and city in the comments below. Let's get into it. Colts quarterback Daniel Jones is finally cleared to do everything ahead of training camp, providing a much-needed sigh of relief for our organization. After suffering a torn Achilles in Week 14 last season, Jones has navigated a long and difficult rehab process, culminating in this positive update from The Athletic reporter James Boyd. Jones, who signed a 2-year, $88 million contract extension with $50 million in guaranteed money prior to the 2025 season, is the centerpiece of our offense. He is now moving, throwing, and participating in individual drills while shooting for a return by Week 1. And the more I look at this, the recovery remains an uphill battle because he admitted that he still thinks about the injury during his practice reps. For us loyal fans, this news hits hard because Jones ranked 6th in dropback EPA before his injury, and we simply need that version of him back to compete this year. While GM Chris Ballard says the goal is Week 1, the team plans to remain cautious throughout the summer. The uncertainty of his mobility has created a cloud of doubt for fantasy managers and everyday supporters alike, as we wonder if he can truly replicate his early 2026 form. We are holding our breath to see how he handles team drills, but we also have to grapple with the state of our backup situation. With Anthony Richardson's future in Indianapolis appearing increasingly unlikely after his struggles, we find ourselves relying on Riley Leonard to hold the fort. This leads us to a critical question. If Jones hits a setback during these upcoming team drills, do we actually trust the current depth behind him to steer this ship? Or is our entire 2026 campaign resting on a foundation of hope rather than proven reliability? The most surprising reality facing our Colts this summer is that Jonathan Taylor's heavy workload remains a major concern for the front office, despite the lack of significant investment in his backfield depth. Coaches like DeAndre Smith have publicly voiced that we must find ways to reduce his carries to keep him fresh. Yet the organization failed to secure a high-priority complement during the offseason. Instead, we are left looking at an unproven competition between DJ Giddens, who ESPN's Stephen Holder noted failed to develop quickly as a rookie, and late-round pick Seth McGowan. This creates a precarious situation for our ground attack, especially as head coach Shane Steichen balances the need to lean on a superstar with the inherent desire to preserve his long-term health. The bottom line here is that the team is essentially betting on internal growth from players who have yet to prove they can handle the rigors of an NFL backfield. Historically, Indianapolis has thrived when we have a balanced offensive identity, but relying solely on Taylor while waiting for our primary quarterback to fully recover from his major injury is a dangerous gamble. Behind closed doors, Chris Ballard and the staff are likely hoping that these younger backs emerge during training camp. But their hesitation to bring in veteran help suggests they are either overconfident in the current roster or waiting for a specific market opportunity to arise. If we cannot find a reliable alternative to relieve our lead back, the stress on his frame will increase significantly as the season progresses. We have seen how quickly a team's championship aspirations can fade when they lack a diverse running identity. As we look toward the upcoming season, the responsibility falls on this coaching staff to develop these depth players into consistent contributors before the physical grind of September begins in earnest. The status of Daniel Jones is the single most critical variable for our franchise as we head into this pivotal season under head coach Shane Steichen. The news that Jones is cleared for all drills following his December Achilles surgery provides a massive sigh of relief. Yet the true test remains how he holds up during the grind of training camp. This matters immensely because our entire offensive identity is tied to his health and his ability to replicate the high level of production he displayed during the first half of last season. Let's be real. While the $88 million contract extension secured his place as our leader, We are entering a season where our depth chart is thin at the most important position on the field. With Anthony Richardson potentially on the move, the team is leaning heavily on backup Riley Leonard to serve as the primary insurance policy. This creates an immediate ripple effect across our roster, as we lack a proven veteran presence behind a quarterback who is still working his way back to full speed. Regarding our ground game, the coaching staff is actively searching for reliable support for Jonathan Taylor to manage his workload, though current options like DJ Giddens have yet to prove they can shoulder the burden. If Jones misses early games, our standing in a competitive division becomes fragile, especially since the team has not made the necessary investments to comfortably rest him. We need him to be the player who ranked 6th in dropback EPA to realistically contend for a playoff spot against our rivals. Ultimately, the next few months of recovery will determine if this year is defined by stability or if we are forced to navigate the unpredictable waters of a season-long transition at quarterback. The most compelling reason to feel optimistic about the return of Daniel Jones is the sheer progress reported by The Athletic's James Boyd. Being cleared for all activity barely 7 months after a significant Achilles injury is a testament to an incredible work ethic and professional rehabilitation process. If he regains the form that saw him ranked 6th in dropback EPA during the first half of last season, this team becomes an immediate threat in the AFC South. However, we must acknowledge the inherent risks involved with such a serious injury to a mobile quarterback. Here's the thing nobody wants to say out loud. An Achilles rupture often robs a player of the explosive burst needed to escape pressure and extend plays, which could leave him vulnerable in the pocket throughout the upcoming season. While analysts like those at ESPN and insiders like Adam Schefter suggest he is trending toward a Week 1 return, the reality is that we might not see the full version of our starter until the second quarter of the schedule. Furthermore, the uncertainty surrounding the backup role remains a concern, as Stephen Holder notes that the organization is weighing whether Anthony Richardson or the emerging Riley Leonard will handle the immediate depth responsibilities. I am personally quite skeptical of the optimistic timeline projecting Jones to be at full speed immediately in training camp. It is wise for Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard to remain cautious, as rushing a return often leads to recurring issues that linger for years. What I really think is that we need to prepare for a conservative start to the year, where the game plan relies heavily on the rushing attack to protect our quarterback. If he can survive the first month without a setback, we might find ourselves in a very favorable position come November. The news that Daniel Jones is fully cleared ahead of training camp provides the stability this franchise desperately needs as we look toward the 2026 season under Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard. Having Jones back in action is a massive relief, especially given the 2-year, $88 million extension that locks him in as our leader. While the Achilles injury requires a cautious approach, knowing he is ahead of schedule gives us a real foundation to build upon for the coming years. What makes this even bigger is the potential shift in our backfield, where the team is actively searching for ways to lighten Jonathan Taylor's immense workload to keep our primary star healthy for the long haul. We should feel a cautious sense of optimism as we approach September. While it is natural to worry about his mobility early on, the fact that he is participating in individual drills is a positive indicator for his Week 1 availability. We have faced uncertainty before, yet our team remains committed to competing at the highest level, despite the challenges of a difficult recovery. It is time to see if this group can finally find the necessary rhythm to maximize our offensive potential. We are clearly at a crossroads, but the pieces are finally beginning to fall into place for a successful campaign. With training camp right around the corner, I have to ask, do you trust Daniel Jones to return to his early 2026 form by the season opener? Or would you prefer the coaching staff play it safe for the first few weeks? If you enjoyed the video, do not forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. For the Shoe, I'll see you in the next one.